think generally, if we look at active managers for where they stand at the moment, I think it's been sort of the neglected side of things for a long period of time. So a lot of the passive type products took over for quite some time, with active fundamental stock picking type of criteria being ignored to a large extent. So we saw value managers, for example, underperforming for a prolonged period of time. It's almost like the macro political landscape took over completely and just sort of ignored these fundamentals. So we see a lot of those other fundamental things, like buying at the cheaper multiples, margin of safety and valuations, coming back, becoming increasingly important. So I think that's a valuable attribute, obviously, of the active management style, and that's where most of the guys are seeing opportunities. From an asset allocation perspective, I think things generally like offshore bonds aren't being favoured, just because we most probably have Fed hikes on the horizon. So most of those flexible income type assets will most probably take a hit on a longer term view. For wealth creation, which is essentially our business, that's what we focus on. We still prefer equities. We think that's the best positioned asset class to do on a probability basis deliver. Yeah, I think it's becoming increasingly important, I think, for most managers. So, like I alluded to, I think for a prolonged period of time, managers were fairly squarely focused on valuations and looking at corporate balance sheets and financial statements, and then just performing a bottom-up assessment. But we're seeing more and more guys focusing on macro things, so things like QE in the US, bond repurchases. Those things played a massive role after 2009, right up to 2016, and then the whole political landscape started to evolve itself into this whole equation as well. So, you'll generally find guys that say they try to be agnostic and just make sure that they buy the right assets at the right valuation to build in some margin of safety for these largely unpredictable events. But we see more and more strategy being focused towards trying to anticipate some directionality around where politics and macro events could go and what the potential impact could be. And I think that's very good for active guys to force themselves to at least try to anticipate where these things could potentially go and what the potential impact could be on portfolios. Yeah, for sure. I think, for us, our DNA is very much in the active management space. So, I'm probably a little bit biased towards that end, but I seriously believe that there's definitely a value proposition for skilled guys that have multiple decades of training and big teams looking at specific securities and asset classes, researching that, trying to deliver the best thing for clients. For me, it doesn't make sense to believe that so much knowledge can go into something that's so focused and disciplined and not deliver value for clients. I think risks are abound, so most probably the value proposition for both active managers and wealth managers probably now at its best, because you're getting the most value for your money because there's so much uncertainty around for that active management and for that wealth planning going into your proposals. It's very valuable at this point in time in particular. So at the same time, while I say we've largely focused on the active side of things, I think in our business we've never really seen it as an either or, so they're not really mutually exclusive in our world. It largely depends on what the client would need and how cost sensitive they are and how aggressive their style would be. And we try to give a client something specific that would suit their specific needs. So for us, it's largely combining those portfolios to offset things that might be lesser important for a specific client and more important for other clients. For us, we added to our product list both passive and active, and then build a bespoke portfolio that we think will deliver over time. Well, I think for us it's a great insight. So obviously it's an opportunity to meet up with all our advisors across the country, and even the guys from Mauritius are here. So logistically it's not always possible to get around to all our 200 plus offices. So for me, I love to be spending some time with the guys, talking to them, addressing some of their concerns. At the same time, we've got our strategic partners here from a product provider perspective, so getting insights from them. We've got a fantastic list of speakers here over the 2-day period. So also getting insights from experts on various fronts conferences like these, I think, add a lot of value to all levels of expertise.